All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great eye in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
What's going on, everyone? This is Nate the Great coming to you live from the All Sports All Plays Network. This is the Sports Corner, brought to you by Nate, Ray, and Greg. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Doing well, Nate. How you doing, bud?
Doing fantastic. Just in case if you guys were wondering, over here at the bottom left, I say 0-0 tied. This is for the Avalanche and Sharks game currently going on right now. But before we get into all the topics and stuff, we gotta pay the bills, as people like to say. We're gonna do the t-shirts. How would you like to win your very own ASAP t-shirt? All you have to do is like our show, comment our show, and be engaged in our show. It is a new month. So it's a fresh start. Just comment in the comment section if you want to win the t-shirt, just comment in the comment section. But say you're driving or you are on a run and you're listening to it, you couldn't make it for whatever reason, and you still want a t-shirt, all you have to do is pay $14.99 plus shipping and handling. The sizes are from small to 2XL. If you wanted a size bigger than the 2XL, no big deal. It just costs a little bit extra, but it's not very much. Well, maybe a buck or two, depending on the size. Now, going in right to the topics. Let's start off with the MLB spring training hot take, and we're gonna go with Greg on this one first.
I'm really excited. I watched a little bit of yesterday's game between the Pirates and the White Sox, and it's just exciting to see that there's fans, in the stands. People are coming in and sitting in the center field, grass, just itching to watch some baseball. It's really great to see fans really coming out and being able to just come out and enjoy some great weather, some good baseball, watch their favorite teams, or just watch some teams that they may not follow, but they like that they're in town. And so it's just really nice to see all the excitement from all the fans wanting to come and filter their way into the stands and just come enjoy a night out at the park. It's just really nice. I hope that this baseball season is really great, because they lost so much money last year on revenue from lack of fans, attendance, and the COVID situation and everything. So I'm just excited with everything going on right now.
Ray?
My hot take is the Atlanta Braves right now. Coming in that first spring game, the pitching staff has let me down. They gave up 9 runs, and their offense production was 7 runs for the Atlanta Braves, but 9 runs to the Rays. It's kind of set the tone right now. But then I look back today when they played the Red Sox, the pitching became much better than it was. They only gave up 3 runs, but the hitting was still a little bit down to my liking. They got 5 runs in that game, but I mean, the only person who was really doing anything good was a Goodwin Jr., and that's about the only thing that's coming out of the Braves right now.
So, for me, my hot take has to do with, again, I'm going to go with the pitching, but I'm going to go with a different game. I'm going to go and talk about the Tigers and Phillies game. How in the world would you give up 6 runs in the first inning and give an ERA of 135? Yes, I said it. 135. That is terrible. Terrible. And what was worse, the next day, different pitcher, different team. It was the Phillies that did it. And now you're going to and talking about the Detroit Tigers, the team that they played against. And one of their pitchers gave a 110 ERA. I'm not trusting either one of those pitching staff. I'm not trusting either one of those players, and I think the pitching is just a little bit sketchy on both of those teams. That's my hot take.
Okay, moving right along here. The best player ever, regardless of sports, to never win a championship. I'm gonna go with Nate with that one.
I'm gonna go with Ty Law. He's one of 2 players in the MLB to hit for over 4,000 to hit base for over 4,000 times, and he still has the best batting average. Only 2 people have hit over 4,000 times and still has the best, and one of those 2, Ty Law, still has the best batting average. He was part of the team that took the Tigers to the World Series 3 times, but never won a championship any of those 3.
Okay, Greg.
I got a pretty short list, but I think if you break it down, I got to go with Ty Cobb as well for the absolute best. He was in 3 World Series from 1907 to 1909. He didn't hit very well in one of the World Series. Made it all the way to a Game 7 in his last World Series. They lost 8-0. But outstanding player. Pete Rose finally eclipsed him on all-time hits. But yeah, tremendous player. He just couldn't get Detroit over the top. I also had Barry Sanders, King Griffey Jr., Ernie Banks. Ernie Banks won 2 MVPs while playing for sub-500 teams in a very bad era for the Chicago Cubs. Of course, you got Ted Williams, who just couldn't quite overcome the Yankees. And, of course, you got the legendary Mr. Padre, Tony Gwynn, as well. Lifetime over 300 hitter, played his entire career with the Padres, had his untimely death several years ago from cancer. But yeah, just, and you could even throw Allen Iverson, Randy Moss in that mix. But I think what it comes down to is Ty Cobb's all-time greatest hit leader, just, an outstanding baseball player in the early 1900s. But any of those guys, I mean, you could name about 10 guys that just couldn't quite get over the hump.
I'm gonna go a slightly different way here. I'm gonna go with Dan Marino. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks to play in NFL. He went to a Super Bowl, got beat, never went. He played with these solid, good wide receivers and Mark Duper and Clayton, and his production on the field can speak for himself. But I think he played in an era where the competition was a little bit more tougher and harder to get to win in the Super Bowl. and if, teams in the Super Bowl is any given Friday, any given Sunday. So that's what happened with Dan Marino and his thing. But my pick was Dan Marino. I did have Ty Cobb. I had Karl Malone from the Utah Jazz and Los Angeles Lakers. He couldn't get past because of Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls in his way. So we pretty much covered that top 10 list of the best players ever, regardless. Never win a championship in sports.
Can I give an honorable mention?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna go with Antonio Gates. Played for the Chargers over there. The Chargers for the past couple of decades, when he was part of the team, they just as a team just didn't do well. I mean, the best they've ever gotten was one AFC championship in the past 20 years. But he always was that one to put up the numbers.
Yeah, and he played mostly injured most of his years in career too. So, I mean, they had a good team, and then he gets injured, and then the team falls apart. So, I mean, with Antonio Gates.
Yeah. You could also talk about Jerome McGinley, too, who played for the Calgary Flames, who came up a little bit short. Him and Mika Kuprasov in Calgary. They had a really good team in 2004. He was an outstanding hockey player. Just couldn't quite make it, but him and Kuprasov really helped out Calgary in 2004, but they just couldn't quite pull it off.
Okay, let's move into our next topic. If an NBA decides to have an expansion team, what two cities do you see that happening? And I'll take this one first. I think Seattle will be one. There have been talks that Ray Allen is going to try to go to the NBA and try to bring the Seattle Supersonics name back into the NBA. Another good place would be let's see what I wrote down. I think Seattle, Lexington, Kentucky. That would be a good place because you're in the heart of basketball country right there with Kentucky University. I think that would be great because if you take that model and look back when the Charlotte Hornets took the NBA team in 1985, they sold out all their games. And what's hurting them now is that the former owner decided he didn't want to work with the city because the city was going to offer him a new stadium. He didn't want to take it because it's not in the area that he wanted it in the city. So that's why I think about the Lexington, Kentucky, because you're in the heart of basketball country. You're in college basketball. They love their basketball there in Lexington, Kentucky. I think an NBA team can drive in Lexington, Kentucky. So, Greg, what do you think?
I definitely think that they've been talking about Seattle for quite some time. It was pretty brutal on Seattle when their owner at the time shipped them off to Oklahoma City, and then they became the Thunder. I definitely think that Seattle is definitely a team that they're looking at. I mean, a city that they're looking at to put a new franchise in if they want to go that way. I definitely see Las Vegas option because Las Vegas already brought in the Raiders. They got the Golden Knights. They're wanting sports over there, so they have a lot going on. A team that I'd really like to see. A city that I really like to see franchise would be St. Louis. St. Louis has had a weird relationship with basketball. They had an ABA team in the mid late 70s called the Spirits, and the Spirits unfortunately didn't get the chance to merge along with the rest of the league. The Nuggets and the Nets and the Spurs. So what they did, though, instead of taking a buyout, the owners decided that they wanted to look into the TV rights, and they made an agreement that they would get 4/7 of the proceeds from all the TV rights from the 4 teams that did get accepted, while the other 2 teams took buyouts. So the owners, one of the owners passed away a few years ago, but the owners that had the Spirits have actually made over $500 million off of this deal, off of the TV rights from getting revenues from the Spurs and the Nets and and the Nuggets. So they took a buyout not too long ago from the NBA because they were getting about $15 million per year. And so I don't know if the NBA would really let them come in. I think they're pretty upset that they've had to pay so much money for a team that doesn't even exist anymore. But I'd love to see St. Louis, the city of St. Louis, get a franchise. They're really hungry for it, but I just don't see the NBA really wanting them to have it because they've already gotten so much money out of this whole deal that the owners were smart enough to broker back in like 1976. So I'm going with Seattle and Vegas.
Okay. I'm gonna give mine, and I have a question for Greg. So my two, I'm gonna go with a Canada team. Actually, I would like to see, outside of Toronto, I like to see another team in Canada. Probably, I'm gonna go with Montreal. Out of all the teams in Canada, probably cities in Canada, I'd probably go with Montreal. And then the other one has a football team in there already, a baseball team in there already, and a hockey team in there already. Pittsburgh. I think I think in those two areas. I mean, Pittsburgh doesn't have a basketball city, and Montreal doesn't have. They have a hockey team in there, but they don't have they don't have anything else.
Yeah, I think that'd be a pretty good idea. I think that they could handle that and support a basketball team.
And then my question is, Greg, do you think the Utah Jazz? Could you see the Utah Jazz moving into St. Louis?
I
mean, it fits the city.
Yeah, I know. It definitely fits the city. I wouldn't mind seeing that. I don't know. I think that Salt Lake, that's kind of their claim to fame. They don't have much for the way of sports going on, so I don't know if they'd really be happy with giving that up. But
yeah,
I would definitely like to see it. But honestly, I'd rather just see a true expansion and just have a brand new team, brand new mascot name, everything. So I don't know, but I could see it, but I don't know. The Jazz are playing really well, and they got pretty good revenue coming in. So I don't know. I don't know if it really makes sense to just kind of transplant the team over to St. Louis. So
okay, yeah, that's all I had.
Okay. Next question is, do you see Coach K retiring in the next 2 to 3 years? And we'll go with Nate with that one.
Yeah, he's been coaching for quite a while. I can see him hanging up the ropes, and I could see him moving on. I mean, we talked about this on the Kobe special, actually. He wanted a head-to-head game with Michael Jordan, which is why he didn't play college basketball. And he probably would have played with Duke he probably would have played Duke with that coach. So that coach has been around there for a long, long, long time. So I can see him hanging up the ropes with the next couple of years.
Greg, same question. Do you see Coach K retiring in the next 2 to 3 years?
I definitely see him retiring within the next 2 or 3 years, because he's 73 right now. He's going to be 74 really soon. He's been at Duke for 46 years, or been coaching for like at least 46 years altogether. And I think there's going to come a point where he's just going to say, it's time. I don't think he's.
We lost Greg there. Okay. I'll just go ahead and start my answer here. If Greg comes back, we'll let him finish up.
Uh-huh.
All right. I see Coach K retiring in probably 3 years. He's already been at Duke for 36 years right now, overall 41 years. After the 3-year mark, he'll be coaching for 44 years. what does Coach K have to prove? I mean, he's all-time winningest coach in college basketball. He's got 5 national championships. He's got USA Olympic gold medals as a coach. He's done just about everything he can in his coaching. When is it going to be a time for him to be with his family? Because he is a family-oriented man. He's got grandkids now. He's getting up in age. If he coaches 3 more years, he'd be 76 years old. If he goes past, he's saying he wants to coach 5 more years. That's what he's saying. If he coached 5 more years, he'd be 79 years old. But you don't know what kind of health he's going to be in within that time frame. So when will he have time to spend with his family and kids instead of going on the recruiting trail and stuff like that? But I think what he's trying to hold off to is trying to get one of his former players ready enough to take over Duke University to keep it at a high standard. He doesn't want to be a coach that goes out at a high standard for a university and then that university falls back if they can't get a coach to keep up with his reputation. So I think he's there more like he'll retire in probably 3 years, but he will be behind the scenes kind of guy, trying to mentor his person that's going to come in behind him. So I wouldn't like to see him retire because he creates that Carolina Duke rivalry. I've been in that rivalry for 48 years now. And I think he brings that rivalry to a head with Roy Williams and Coach K. It's just a battle between North Carolina and Duke that I like. And I'm scared if Coach K steps down in 3 to 4, probably 3 years, that rivalry could go down because there's no be other coach that can compete with the Carolina pedigree. So I think he's going to retire in 3 years, but I also think he's going to be behind the scenes probably for an extra 2 to 3 years. And Greg, you can go ahead and finish up your thoughts.
I was just going to say that, at 73, 74, I definitely think that he's on the verge of retirement. I don't think he's going to retire, after this season or anything because they're having such a down year. I think they're only like a couple of games above 500, so I don't think he wants to go out like that, but it's been such a tumultuous season for him. I think that he wants to bounce back and have another good year or two and then try to leave the program in great hands. I just, he's had a tremendous career. He's won a lot of championships. He's considered one of the greatest coaches of all time at any level. So I think that, I think that in his mid 70s, I think that he's probably going to just hang it up and call it good, call it a day.
I mean, yeah, you said that it was a down year. I mean, this has been when was the last time that Duke has not made the March Madness? Let's just say that.
1995.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So it's been about 26 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the time when Coach K had the hip surgery in 1995. Okay. So they were 8-25. His assistant coach, Grumlett, took over the team, and the team fell apart once Coach K left, and they went 8-25, and they didn't make the March Madness. They didn't make no postseason play that year.
So yeah, that's all I had to say on that.
Okay, moving to the next topic, and our last topic here is the sports team mascot name that needs to change, and pick 3 to give a new mascot suggestion. Greg, go ahead.
Well, we talked about the Utah Jazz earlier, and I think that the Utah Jazz name is definitely one that's got to go. Utah is not exactly known for jazz. Okay. New Orleans, that was a great name, at the time in the 60s and 70s. But then when they changed the team, sent the team over to Salt Lake City, they became the Utah Jazz, which makes no sense at all. I think that it'd be really good to change the name up a bit, or maybe even give the Jazz name back to New Orleans so they can get rid of the ridiculous Pelican. A couple of name suggestions, I think, for the Utah Jazz is the Mighty Five. They have 5 national parks, beautiful national parks there. I think I could see, Utah Mighty Five. Also, kind of a play on words, the best governor that they ever had was named John Huntsman. John Huntsman was a governor that served not too long ago, and he made it so that in Utah they had pretty strict laws on buying alcohol and going to clubs and stuff, where you actually had to sign in to certain clubs and stuff just to go in to drink, and it was almost being part of a Elks Club or some kind of club just to go in and have a drink somewhere. So you can call them the Utah Huntsmen, and it could also be a play on words because Utah is known for excellent big game hunting. So they wouldn't even have to, necessarily say it's about John Huntsman, but that's a couple ideas. Then we got the Minnesota Wild in hockey. What is the Wild? It's pretty vague. They got all kinds of great wild game in Minnesota. You could be the Minnesota Moose. You could be the Minnesota Loons. They have the most amount of loons in this country besides Alaska. I mean, there's tons of options. I'd like to see a different mascot for the Minnesota Wild besides just a panther with like a tree and a moon going through its face. I don't know. That kind of bothers me a little bit. Houston Texans, that's just a group of people. Philadelphia Phillies, that's another group of people. I think that just seems kind of lazy to me to just kind of call, I don't know, it'd be like a team in Oregon, be the Oregon Oregonians, that's just kind of laziness to me. Another name, I love the Angels name, but I don't like them being called the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. It almost sounds like a TV show, like the Real Housewives of whatever, wherever they're from. Anaheim is 40 miles away from Los Angeles. So how can you be from both? It's not like a game of Twister. You can't be in two spots at once. So I think either they need to be the Los Angeles Angels or the Anaheim Angels. They don't need 4 or 5 words to describe what they are. So, and the Sacramento Kings also, they were the Kansas City Kings for a long time. They had played pretty good ball way back in the day before they came to Sacramento. They've had some decent teams over the years with Chris Webber, and now they're starting to build a pretty good young team in Sacramento, but they're not really, it doesn't really describe anything. We're not in England. We don't have kings and queens here, and the Kings haven't won anything. So what are they the kings of, really? So I don't know. So
Okay.
those are a few team mascots that I think need to be tweaked a little bit.
Okay, Nate, same question.
I kind of misread the question here. I thought you were talking about mascots that just doesn't fit the team name or logo. That's what I thought you were talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nate. But yeah, if you want to go with a mascot that doesn't fit the logo, you could easily go with the Buffalo Bills because they were named after the cowboy Buffalo Bill Cody, but they just got a crazy mascot running around that has nothing to do with Wild Bill Hickok.
I'm actually going to go with Utah as well. I mean, their mascot's a bear.
Yeah.
It's Utah Jazz, and their mascot's a bear. And I was also gonna go. I'm probably gonna go with Stuff the Magic Dragon. I don't know really what that's about. Oh, never mind. I take that back. No Orlando Magic. So yeah, I was gonna say the Buffalo Bills. But then the Orlando Magic thing dawned on me, so that was my 3.
Okay, my 3 for this question is Alabama Crimson Tide. I went with same with Nate's route here because they have an elephant on the sideline, so they should be the Alabama Elephants. That's what they should be called. I went with the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. I actually like the Jacksonville Suns, what they used to be called. I wish they would go back there, and they had a new owner come in. He wanted to change the team up. I know where Jacksonville is known for jumbo shrimps, but they're also known for the sun because the sun beams down on people all the time in the heat. So, I mean, the 2 names right there. And then the one most definitely needs to be changed is the Stanford Cardinals. They need to be called the Stanford Christmas tree. They got a tree runs around. They got no cardinal on the tree. So I don't know why they'd be called the Stanford Cardinals. And there's no Cardinals in California either. So that's my 3.
Yeah, they were named after a color, which is like a shade of red. But yeah, absolutely, it makes no sense whatsoever.
So I mean, if you want to fit the other description to it, yeah, Stanford is one of them. The Arizona Cardinals, they need to change their names. Give the Cardinals back to St. Louis. I mean, I don't understand the Arizona Cardinals. There's no Cardinals in Arizona either, because Cardinals can't survive in the desert weather.
I mean, I do have another honorable mention on this, but I don't know what they would do to change their mascot here. Houston Rockets. Their mascot's also a bear.
Yeah. But they use the Rockets because they have one of the NASA's communication center there. That's part of why they got the Rockets. But you couldn't put a rocket inside a stadium and a guy run around with a rocket on, so they had to come up with something with a bear. But then again, a bear doesn't fit Houston because there's no bears in Houston. I mean, there's no really a bear running around downtown Houston or unless they get them out of the zoo. So, that was all the questions that we had. But I like to come up with one little thing here. We pretty much covered March Madness, right? So I just want to give you an opinion. Out of these 3 teams, which one do you think is going to win? Gonzaga, Michigan, or Baylor? Greg?
My heart is going with Gonzaga. Gonzaga has played well all season long. So has Baylor. Baylor just lost a game the other day, so they went down a little bit in the standings. But Gonzaga, they've got 2 really great players heading for the NBA draft. Mark Few came so close a few different times, and it'd be nice to see kind of a mid-major team make it all the way. You don't see that too much. I mean, we saw it a few times with Butler when they had those great seasons with Gordon Hayward and Brad Stevens on the bench. But I would really love to see Gonzaga. But I don't know. I think it's gonna. I don't know as much about Michigan. I think that between those 3, Gonzaga and Baylor are going to be the teams to beat. But I'm really pulling for Gonzaga in my heart. So,
Nate,
I'm not rooting. Unlike Greg here, I'm not rooting for Gonzaga because I'm a BYU fan and they're in the same division. But being realistic here, I can't see Gonzaga going all the way because they have been the number 1 seed in the past. Doing this well in the regular season in the past. And they ended up choking in the playoffs, the Elite 8, Final 4 around that area. I can't see them moving on. Baylor is probably where I'm going to go with. I'm probably going to go Baylor.
Okay. I'm going to take that same question. I'm going to go with Gonzaga. And this is the reason why I'm going with Gonzaga here. Gonzaga is 24-0 right now. They play in the Western Conference, the West Coast Conference. I mean, they really don't have a team that is really competitive with them. So I think they're going to go regular season undefeated. But they started the season playing with number 6 Kansas Jayhawks. They scored 102 to 90 points in that game. That's a Power 5 conference. They played Auburn, which is a lower tier Power 5 conference in the SEC. They won 90 to 67. The closest game they played in a Power 5 against a Power 5 team came up against West Virginia, 87-82. Then it went into the ACC and destroyed Virginia, 90-75 is the last Power 5 team they played. But the question is, I see them winning it, but the last time they played a competition game is 26 December of 2020. Going through that conference, you think that conference is helping them to get ready for the March Madness itself? I don't think so.
Uh-uh.
But I think what's going to happen with Gonzaga is teams going to be preparing for them. They're going to be coming out. If Gonzaga can get through the Sweet 16, the Final 8, and make it to the Final 4, I think that conference is going to be big enough to where they can win that national championship. So I just want to bring that up because I had, the top three teams right there is Gonzaga's ranked number 1. Michigan's ranked number 2 now since Baylor lost. Baylor dropped down 1. They're number 3 in the nation. So that's all the topics we have. So thanks for joining us. Nate, do you have anything else on your closing segment?
Yeah, I'll close it out.
Okay.
Do you guys, any of you two, have any final comments before I close this out, though?
I'll go. I think this was a good show. We learned a lot about our, people on the ability of Coach K. As a Tar Heel fan, I go around with Duke fans all the time in different groups and stuff like that. My opinion here is he's one of the greatest coaches. I would have a lot of respect for Dean Smith, and I have a lot of respect for Roy Williams. But Dean Smith really, at first, didn't like Coach K, and they became friends at the end. And Dean literally passed that torch to Coach K. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at one of the ACC championship games when he went up and tipped his hat to Coach K, and he whispered something in Coach K's ear. And I finally got that what the whisper was. One of my buddies, he was a Carolina athletic department guy. He said he told Coach K it was time for him to pass the torch to him. And that's when Dean Smith decided to retire. He didn't want to go out. He thought his mind at the time that was deteriorating because he had Alzheimer's when he died. It was starting to show a little bit. He didn't want to go to games and forget people's name. Dean Smith was one of the greatest guys who can memorize every event that had happened in his life and what happened on the game. He can go back to every game and tell you exactly what happened. And what key to me was when I told him a story in 1995, I was stationed in Hawaii. Hawaii didn't have a ticket law. Guy in front of me bought all 205 remaining tickets to the Carolina-Hawaii game. I didn't, and he turned around and wanted me to pay almost $1,000 for that ticket. When I seen him watch, I'm only paid $45. I called Dean Smith because he was staying at the Hilton Hotel because I knew back then Carolina had a contract with the Hilton Hotel. They had a Hilton Hotel downtown Waikiki. I called him up and I asked him. I said, I'm trying to get tickets for the guys from the Navy ship. Guy bought the remaining tickets out. He said, I'll see what I can do. Meet me at the game. Meet me where the bus entrance come in. I'll leave them all your names, and then we'll go. Well, come to find out, he got us 150 tickets because 150 of their fans didn't show up. So it started turning it back into the Hawaiian Athletic Department to resell. He gave it to us. And I was always grateful for that. And I met Coach K one year. And the only why I met Coach K was because of Dean Smith. Coach K was nice. I mean, I have nothing bad about him. And for him going out the way he is going out, I don't think he's going to retire this year because he said he was never going to retire on the down year. So I really think it's going to probably be about 2 to 3 years. And I think because he seriously said that he wants to spend time with his grandkids. And he's getting up in age. He's already 73, be 74 coming up. By the time he retires, he'll be 77. If he goes 5 years, he's going to be 79. So he's not going to have too much time left with his grandkids. So that's what my final take is on Coach K. I don't want to give too much of my Duke fans out there if they're watching some ammunition to go back on me. So that's my final take on Coach K's coaching career.
Greg, and then I'll give my final take.
Yeah, Coach K is a legendary coach. One of the greatest of all times. Him and Dean Smith did have a fantastic friendship later on through their coaching years and had a lot of respect for each other. And yeah, he like Ray has been saying, you know, he doesn't want to leave on a down year, but he is also feeling like at 73, gonna be 74, it is time to maybe pass the torch or look into passing the torch, because his grandkids are getting older. You know, his kids are getting older, and I think that he's just wanted to enjoy some downtime with his family, and it's well deserved. And I do think that Coach K is probably one of the very few coaches that I can think of that would have made an excellent transition into the pros, because the pros just seem to love him when he was coaching them in the Olympics. So they have a lot of respect for him, and I wish that might have been a jump that he would have been into making, because I think that he would have been a very successful college to NBA coach. But you know, as retirement is coming, and you know, it's probably knocking on the door within the next few years. But the good thing about him retiring is he's not going to have to buy any more hair dye, and he can just go gray like the rest of us. So you know, because you guys notice how he's got that slick black hair.
Yeah.
Okay. So
that's all I got. I was in the middle of that joke before I got cut off last time.
My final take is, well, not in the AP top 25 rankings, but in the net top 25 rankings. BYU is standing at 20. In the net, not AP top 25, but in the net ones.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exciting news for me. So this has been Greg, Nate, and myself signing out for now. But first, remember, we talked about all these logos, all these names, and all this kind of stuff that we're kind of sketchy. We're bad, but nothing is probably worse than the Tennessee Oilers.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great eye in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.